through this. I am on two screens. So if you see me over here, it's not because I am not listening to you. It's because I'm in several places at once. Okay. All right. So this is a 4-part series, is what we will call it, about attracting the right clients and getting rid of all of the rest. Because honestly, there's a lot of people and we want you to be choosing the right ones for your business. And yes, you get to be selective with your clients. They're not the only ones who are going to make choices. You also got to make choices, right? So last week, we talked about foes. These are people in your business that you should be firing right off the bat. This week, we are talking about frustrators. These are large clients that are too big for what your business can handle right now. Or people who completely gum up your system. Maybe they're not like against you, but they are causing issues in your business. So we want to talk about them. We want to know who they are, and we want to know how to handle it in our business. You have 4 typical types of clients that will come to you in your business. You have fans, pretty self-explanatory, friends, frustrators, and foes. Again, we talked about foes last week. Frustrators are these people who cause issues unintentionally. They want to work with you, but they are causing some problems. And we'll get into exactly what that looks like in a minute. You are essentially, as you're building your business, you're essentially creating a world for your fans. That's how I want you to think about it. I want you to think of your very, very best clients, and you are creating this amazing place for them to go. They feel supported. They feel happy. They feel included. They feel like they found their place. That's what you're creating. That's what you want to be thinking about when you do this. When you're creating your own world for these people, there's certain people you want to bring in, and there's certain people that you want to keep out. This is I have like a whole academy, like a 6-month academy. This is the physical, actual drawing that we do to really visualize this and do this whole process where you have an entire world for your people and you're making sure you're bringing in the right people, attracting the right people, and sending the rest away. So let's talk about these frustrators that even though they mean well, they typically always mean well. They're not always right for our business. Sometimes they're causing a lot of issues. So how do you know who a frustrator is? If your business is depending on 1 to 4 clients, if one of those clients leaves you and you lose your business, that's a frustrator. They're too big. It's too much, okay? Your business should not depend on just a couple of people. That is a disaster waiting to happen. I've done it. I've seen other people do it a ton of times. We don't want to do that. Another thing that a frustrator is going to do is they're going to suck all of your resources and all of your time. So you can't serve your fans really well because you are stuck taking care of all of the frustrators' concerns and needs. They're, again, too big. Their bill is super high, so it feels kind of exciting because you're like, oh my gosh, I can get all of this money. It's going to be such a good day. This is going to make all my numbers go up. But if you make a mistake, you're losing money. Or if they leave you, you're done. It's your whole business. Frustrator often has really high capital. So at the very beginning, you're going to have to put down a ton of money to get this client working and running in your business. Even if you don't really have the money, they're typically super expensive on the front end. Okay. I'm just going to tell you stories to illustrate this because a lot of people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. My first one is a friend. His name is Zach. And currently he owns 3 Crumble franchises. But before he did that, he had a business where he made popcorn, like gourmet, fancy popcorn. And he had a big client come in for Mardi Gras. And they said, we need 1,000 bags or 5,000 bags of popcorn right now. And I mean, they're like, it was more than that. I mean, it would have changed his business by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's looking at this $300,000, $400,000 order, and he's like, oh man, this will change everything. This is a huge deal. We want to be able to take this. We want to be able to do this. This is a really, really big deal. But Zach is also really good at knowing his numbers. And so he ran his numbers first, which is really important when you're working with a frustrator or just in business in general. He ran his numbers first. He knows how often his team makes mistakes. He knows how big of a margin of error they have to have. And he's like, if we screw up even a little bit, we're losing tens of thousands of dollars just to fulfill this one order. And so it was one of those things where he had to say, I can't do it. You have to know your numbers, especially when you're working with these high ticket clients, because if you make little errors, it can completely tank you. What's the point of taking a $300,000 client if you're actually going to lose 50 grand, right? So the first thing you need to know is when to just say goodbye, when to just say, I can't do this right now. I can't fulfill a $400,000 order right now. I'm going to have to refer you out to some better people. Not better people, bigger companies with more capacity, right? Part of your job as a CEO is to know your numbers and to know them well and to know how often you make mistakes. I'm going to screw up all the time. Yesterday, I sent an email to well over 3,000 people, and not a single link in the email was correct. Not even one. Not even one actually worked, right? We're going to make mistakes in business. It's frustrating. It's embarrassing. It's fine. But if you don't know your numbers, those mistakes can cost you a lot of money. So your mistakes need to be worked into your numbers. If we screw this up, what does it look like? My mom owns a t-shirt screen printing company. Their mistakes are worked into their prices. If they're not, they're risking losing a ton. When you're pulling, when you're doing thousands and thousands of shirts, you have to say, okay, well, typically we screw up about 2% of our shirts. So we have to account for that because we have to reorder and we have to pay for the time. Okay. Even in service, same thing. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to double schedule somebody. We're going to screw something up. We're going to have to start over. That needs to be worked into everything. Okay. All right. Let's talk about another one. This one's my personal mistake. So let's talk about it. For a while, I worked for the Women's Business Center of Utah. I don't know. You guys probably don't know who that is. So it's fine. They paid me good money to work with their clients. I did one-on-one coaching with a lot of their clients, and they would send people to me. I was coaching like 30 people a month. Some of them are coming back every week. So like, that's a lot. And it was fun and it was well, and it was great. But I constantly knew, I have too much business riding on this. I have too much business riding on this. If something happens and the Women's Business Center is out, I don't have a business anymore. My business is done, right? I don't have a business. I'm starting from scratch. And guess what? It totally happened. I knew it. I knew better than that. It totally happened, and they lost the grant that was being used to pay for me, which was supposed to be like a 6-year grant, was pulled for other funding. So they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. You have 2 months to wrap this up and our grant is done. Luckily, because like I said, I'd already known something in the back of my head. I pretty much had things set up relatively well to be able to just move forward. But it's something you need to be looking for all of the time. How much of your business is reliant on one client? If your business does just rely on one client, that's a problem. And it's something that we want to start fixing very quickly. Okay. Those are frustrators in our business. Even though I loved working for them, I had another company that used to fly me all over the place. Sorry. We have some people that need to be muted. There we go. I had another company that used to fly me all over the place to teach and educate their clients. And we used to do 3-day retreats and stuff. That was another one that easily could have turned into this frustrator that's gumming up my whole entire system. And again, my entire business depends on them. We don't want to do that. We need to grow healthy, sustainable businesses. Part of that is understanding the types of clients that are coming into your business and making sure that that your business is healthy enough for them right then. Okay. The first easiest way to deal with this is to be able to say, I can't take this on right now, and grow into your frustrators. Okay. They can become raving fans. They're not doing anything wrong. They want to hire you and give you a ton of work. Sometimes our business is just at capacity and we can't take them on. So your goal is to start to grow into them. What steps do you need to take to be able to take on capacity, to take on more production, whatever that looks like for you? You want to make sure when your business is growing that you're growing well and sustainably and smart. I have seen too many businesses, multi-million dollar businesses, tank because they were not growing sustainably. They were growing too fast. They were taking on too big of clients, and the money runs out. And when the money runs out, the money runs out. And you have things to fulfill on, and people want their money and people want their contracts. It is a problem. So you want to make sure that you're growing well. The first thing that you need to be doing there is creating systems that increase production. So if you're not a product-based business, that's totally fine. Production is, how many people can I get into my business? Am I capped at 20 clients? Am I capped at 10 clients? And am I capped at 100 clients? What does this look like? I worked with a restaurant, and I use this one as an example all the time because it was such a good experience. She doubled the size of her dining room. She got a ton of money, ton of loans, ton of grants, doubled the size of her dining room. It was a huge, huge build. And her numbers did not go up. They stayed exactly the same, except now she has a ton of debt. We went in, she hired me to come in. I built out the systems to increase her production. And they went from like a $500,000 business and her taking home no paycheck at all to well over $1 million, and she's taking home a lot. Systems are what you need to make sure you can increase production. Increase whatever you're doing. You can take on more people. All right. The next one is to hire people that increase capacity. Same thing. If we bring people on who just do customer service, but we are bogged down in all of the coaching that we're doing, in all of the photography that we're doing, in all of the whatever, it doesn't matter that someone's doing customer service if we can't take on more clients. Okay. So if you want to grow into those frustrators instead of send them away, which is the second option, you need to be hiring for capacity. You can create another product. So when I was working for the Women's Business Center, the product I started creating was my Launch Your Business Academy, which is a 6-month academy. It takes women straight through starting a business, start to end, everything that you need to grow and create a solid business. That product didn't take me more time, so I could add it in to what I was doing and take on more people and not rely so much on this one client. Another thing, same general thing, is offer additional services. There are some services we can offer that take less time. We can have more capacity without doing more work. Okay. Anything new that you do, make sure you test it. I put that there specifically because I sent out that email to thousands of people with no links that worked. So test things. Okay. Again, make sure you're growing smart. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this company. I worked for them for a while. They were about a $13 to $14 million company. They did teach business education. They grew and doubled their sales every single year and doubled their revenue and never grew a whole system around it. So when I'm talking about growing into your frustrators, I don't want you to just start going and going and going and going. We need to make sure you're growing in a way that's sustainable. This company went under, and they went under hard. Both of the owners filed for bankruptcy. The business filed for bankruptcy, obviously, but then both of the owners also had to file for bankruptcy because they weren't smart about how they funded their business. They weren't smart about how they grew their business. They did not make the best choices that they could for their business. They were just looking at those big numbers. And sometimes we get the little star eyes about the big numbers. That's what this lesson is about, is you can't get too star-eyed about the big numbers. You have to be like Zach, who can say, I don't have this margin of error. I don't have this capacity. This will tank us if we screw up, and my business isn't perfect. He eventually sold that business to another guy, and he is working on increasing production. So he can take on some of those bigger orders, but it's been a process that he's been working on for well over a year. Okay. Do we have questions at this point? I talk really fast. We're feeling okay. Okay, cool. Let's talk about this too. Again, star-eyed deals that are just like out of reach and seem incredible. For a lot of people, that's Walmart. Being in stores, being in Target, doing those types of things. Whatever it is for you, I want you to be able to know what it is so you can see it coming. A lot of people, though, this is getting in a physical location like this. Walmart often has a net 120. That means that they will not pay you for 4 months. This is a huge initial investment. You, as a business owner, have to provide all of the products, pay for all of the products, ship all of the products, deliver them to Walmart's one test store that they're giving you, and they wait 4 months to give you anything back. If you don't have the capital to wait 4 months to be paid, if you don't have a way to pay your bills in between, this is a frustrator. This is, yeah, the logistics. I have a couple friends who have put things in Walmart and CVS. The logistics are insane. And if you screw up a little bit, they won't pay you at all. If you put the scan label on the wrong side of your giant tub of stuff, they will not pay you. So yeah, the logistics are insane. That is going to be a frustrator in your business that could tank you if you are not ready for it. It seems so big and important and huge and exciting. We have to know what can tank us so we can make choices and make sure we are ready when we get to that point. I have seen this happen. It's so bad. That's what we're talking about. That's why we're talking about it. It's because we want to make sure that we're ready. We want to make sure we know what this looks like. So to avoid messy problems, you need to be super clear on what your business is capable of. Know your capacity. Know your margin of error and hold to your business standards. Your business standards are going to be, or even your systems are going to be like, this is how we put an order in. This is how we take applications. This is what that looks like. So even these big businesses that come in or these big clients still have to go through the same process, and you kind of help vet them and make sure that they aren't people who are going to just cause issues in your business, even if they don't mean to. Even if it's not intentional, we need to know what our capacity is. You need to know what your margin of error is. You need to know what this looks like in 3, 6, 9 months. Okay? Whew. So the question always is like, well, when do you say no? And when do you know when to do this? If I have a big order coming my way, if I have someone being like, oh, we want to hire you to do this, and we're going to fly you, because for me, I do a lot of speaking. I teach business education to a lot of places. If they're asking, if they're saying, oh, we want to fly you to this place, we want this to look like that, all of those types of things, I do not make a decision within that first 24 hours. I don't make a decision within that first 24 hours. I always say, I have to run my numbers. I have to run my numbers and see what it looks like. And then I can come back and I can say, okay, you wanted to pay me $1,000 for this event. That's not actually going to work. I'm not going to make money that way. I need $6,000 or whatever that looks like. Okay. So like Zach went back to the popcorn company, and he owned the popcorn company, to the people who wanted the popcorn. And he said, I can't do it for what you are willing to pay. I can do it for X amount. And they said, there's absolutely no way we can pay that much. And he had to say, I know what my numbers are. I cannot do it for that amount. And it hurts and it's hard, but you have to run your numbers, and you say no as soon as you realize that this is not going to benefit your business. And it can be, hey, give us another call in 6 months, or I'd love to reach out to you later. Right now, we don't have that capacity. Okay? Questions at this point? Okay. Whew. All right. So I want you guys to pull out your pen, papers, whatever you're doing. I'm going to do it as well because I have a hard time not talking. So I am also going to write it all down as well so I can give you guys some work on your own. In the home little bit of our, I don't know, we have the chat, and then next to it, it's the home of our little booth thing here. You guys can see that I do have a workshop. It's a $10 workshop. This workshop is all of the steps to getting your business set up. We have a business checklist, a findability score, which is like, can people find you online? All of that kind of stuff. So as we go through this, if you find yourself having extra time while we wait for other people, you guys can check that out and see what it looks like and ask questions. This is the part of the workshop that's a workshop, and I want you guys to actually do the work. And we're going to try really hard to wait for everyone so everyone can get their work done, which means I'm going to talk less. You guys can check that out while you wait if you're super fast, okay? So your first task, and if you were here last week, you've already done this. Your first task is to write down who is your favorite client. Like the client that if you could just duplicate that person over and over and over and over again, that is the person you would completely fill your business with. What is their name? Who are they? What do they like? Those types of things, right? Okay, does anyone want to share who their favorite person in their business is? Tell me about them. You don't have to use their name if you don't want to. I'll share mine. If you guys don't have to share. But I'll totally share mine. So I actually wrote down 3. I have a girl in my program named Kimberly. I have a girl named Jillian. I have a girl named Stephanie. Somehow I'll combine their names later, like a Kiliphany or something. Anyway, they are all 3 of them have the same qualities, which is why I wrote all 3 of them down. They're getting their coursework done. They're super dedicated to their business. They check in every week. They're positive, and they allow me to make mistakes, which is fantastic. So those are the people I would love to fill my business with. They're super smart. They're creative. They're fun, right? Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm happy to share. I've got most of my clients are actually this, because I have an enormous pre-session assessment that people have to do before I take them on, because I've got limited time and energy. And they're enthusiastic and realistic about their expectations. They're self-accountable. They're willing to learn and grow. They're willing to invest in themselves, and they take action. So
Awesome. I love it. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, so my favorite client, and I've actually said I wish I could just clone her and only work for her. I don't know how many times. She respects my boundaries. She actually respects my time and my boundaries more than I do sometimes. She has just enough hours in the month for me. She's always clear on instructions, and she values my input. Like, she treats me as a business owner working together, not as an employee.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Anyone else? I'll take one more if someone has one more. You guys in the chat, that aren't on the video, you guys can also put it in the chat if you want. Okay. I'm moving forward. Let's go. All right. Now I want you to write down, what does your system look like for your fans, for this favorite client? So when, Trudy, you're talking about they're self-accountable, they're doing all of their things, you can depend on them, whatever that looks like. What does them working with you typically look like? Does that look like they call you and hire you on the spot? You already said they go through a super long vetting process. Tell me more about what the whole process looks like, from them contacting you, really to you fulfilling on what's happening, and just kind of write out what the system looks like so we have a general idea. I'm going to give everyone time to do this. Okay, I'm going to share mine because I learned some stuff. So let's talk about it. Okay. Jasmine is kind, does the thought work, honors time commitments, will invest in herself. I love it. And I love that you gave her a name. All right. So my fan system is actually a little different. Like, I was just writing out my general system, and I realized that my fans do it a little bit differently, and I want to lean into that. So they don't just take my workshop, they take the workshop and they ask a lot of questions. They're invested in themselves, they're invested in their business, they're invested in my time. So they do ask a ton of questions. They apply for the academy, which, everyone has to apply for the academy to be a part of it, but then they also pay in full. And I didn't really realize my fans were doing something a little bit differently than everyone else. They start courses right away. They do their weekly check-in. They attend live calls. They do take the course quizzes. They actually complete the program. They leave good reviews. That's the whole entire system in the end. I did not realize this. This is the full system that I want everyone to be doing. My system was most of these things, but those little extras that they do, that's what I should be cultivating in my business that I just learned today. Okay, so someone else, tell me a little bit about your system. Did you learn anything about what your fans might be doing, your favorite client, that maybe other people in your business aren't doing? Jordy.
Yeah, I'm learning some stuff too. Like, you don't notice the trend, For me, they're just lit up in the moment, and they take action. And once they purchase, they pay in full. and then they're raving throughout the program, very engaged, learning, really, really invested. Afterwards, not only do I get reviews, they also bring me referrals. They always send people my way. So that's
Awesome.
kind of the path of my ideal client. And dude, I have 3 that came to mind immediately, and they all acted exactly the same.
Yeah. I was like, oh, these guys are doing extra steps that are not part of my real system. Like, that's super cool. All right. Anyone else want to share what they learned or what your system looks like? Anyone have questions?
Happy to just share something that I did actually do a long time ago after a health crisis, which changed everything. Is that I had a contract that I sent out to people to sign about how the system works, and I didn't realise that so many people actually just think it's okay to Facebook message you. So when I had suffered from memory loss, came back and decided that I need to change my entire, because I only take on so many clients, I only take 2 clients a year, so it's not enormous anymore, but I used to have a lot. And so what I've now got in my contract is very clear methods of contact. And when I've spoken to other colleagues that are also running behavioural psychology clinics, it's amazing how just something so simple as saying, okay, this is a very clear way that you can contact me. You can't just message me everywhere, so that was just something. Yeah, so boundaries.
Yes, and making sure they're clear with people is super big. We talked about that a little bit more last week, but like it is a big deal. All right, so looking at your little system that we just wrote down and the way we want people to be acting, the system we want to move through, what you need to be asking yourself next is who gums up this process? Who might spend a lot of money, but they're not actually following this process. They're making things more complicated. They're putting everyone else on hold, or they're controlling the entire success of your business. So again, I already talked about my parents own a t-shirt screen printing company. I was talking to my mom about this the other day. She said they spend a ton of money, but we have to put 10 clients on hold just to fulfill their orders. And I'm like, oh, that's a problem. You're not there yet. Maybe we need to try something else. We talked about the differences and what this could be for her because she's putting her best clients on hold, trying to take care of these big, huge clients where in the end she's not making a ton of money because they're stressed, they don't have the capacity, they're making too many mistakes. So look at your whole system that you want your people to be following. Who is gumming this up? And it is totally okay to give them a name. Steve gums this up, or whatever that looks like. I'll give you guys time to write. I'll be quiet.
What was the last question you just said?
So like we're looking over, we kind of wrote down the system that our fans follow, kind of the process of them working with us. Who gums this up? Like who causes problems in the system?
Okay. Got it.
All right, so I can do mine first. And I already talked about this. The Women's Business Center gums up this process because I have to do things in an entirely different way. So my entire business is slowed down to accommodate this one contracting gig that pays really well, but it doesn't allow me to build what I'm aiming for. Now, if my goal was just to work for the Women's Business Center and do their contracting gig, that would be entirely different. But that's not what I want. That's why we wrote down the fan system, is because that is what I want. I want to be doing that fan system. I don't want to be just working as a contractor for this company instead. Okay. Does anyone have one they want to share? Anything you've learned? Does anyone feel super confused? Do you feel confused?
Well, I actually have 2 clients that fit this whole gum up the process.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I feel confused on, and I kind of knew that they were my problem children, But how do I correct the mistake now, right? Like, how do I fix it? How do I make sure that my finances don't suffer as I try to find the right client to fill that same spot?
Okay, so you have people in there. Your concern is letting them go because it will hurt you financially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would start. I don't know exactly what the situation is. You can tell me more if you want. But I would start by emailing them and saying, "Hey," or calling them, whatever your mode of communication is, and saying, "Hey, our systems have changed a little bit, and or my business policies, whatever you want, and it doesn't fit the entire scope of what we've been doing. The new scope looks like this, and these are the standards for my business. This is what I'll be doing next. This will take effect in the next 2 months or the next 30 days or something like that, and start laying out new boundaries for them." So I have a business owner that I work with, and she is in event production. She does multi-million-dollar events. She puts those together. She has clients that are like this, that she's doing more than she should be doing. They're giving her too much. And while she's getting paid well for it, it's not getting her closer to her goals. And that's what she had to do. She had to sit down with the CEO and say, this is beyond the scope of our contract. For us to continue, I have to hire someone to come in and take on this spot, which means it will cost you X amount. Or this is what we're currently doing. These are our policies and procedures, and this is what it looks like. Does that help at all?
Yeah, kind of. Like my one client, I came on as a virtual assistant,
Okay.
and then her like OBM left, and they're like, "Okay, Sheree, now you need to fill it now. No SOPs in place. Figure it out," and figure it out yesterday. And that was it. That was what I was given. And I've never wanted to be in the position, but I can't afford to leave it. And I don't have time budget to bring someone on, or two people. I'd prefer to have two people to replace the one. I don't have the time budget to add two people and then off board. So it's like that catch-22.
Okay. You gotta stand up for yourself. This is beyond the scope of what I do. Right? Especially if they don't have any policies and procedures in place for you to know exactly what you're supposed to be doing to get that done. This is beyond the scope. And then you give them options of how to fix the problem, and you move on from there.
That was
and it's
8
super
months
scary.
ago. No,
What's that?
I'm starting to create the SOPs. That was 8 months ago. So I'm now creating the SOPs that they never had in place before, because I am planning to leave. So I don't want the next person to be in the same spot as me.
So, and that is another option too. If you are planning on leaving, actively get it ready so they can leave, so you can leave. Super clear. And you can even say, my business has changed. I don't do this anymore. I've changed my business several times. I do not design websites anymore. And I had to tell people, I'm so sorry. I can't keep track of your website anymore. Okay. Be brave.
Okay.
You got it. Okay. Like I said, name them. Know who your people are. Know who's gumming up your system, who is preventing you from getting further in your business. All of those things. One of the things that I do to find these people, these frustrators in my business, because sometimes they come on with all of the money and you're like, hoo, right? This is such a good day. I already said that I take 24 hours, but I also ask all of these questions. Will this stop my other production? So I'm not a product-based business. I'm a service-based business. So will this slow down me creating courses for my clients, taking on new clients, etc.? Will I have to put clients on hold? Is this going to get in the way of my coaching calls so I can't meet with my clients that I need to be meeting with? I ask myself, if this works, how much will I depend on this one client? How much of my business will ride on their shoulders? And then how do I fix it if that is the situation? If it doesn't work, how much do I lose? This is knowing your margin of error. What is my profit margin? Because I want to know if I'm making good money or if I'm making okay money. And what is my margin of error? So I sit down and I figure all of these things out before I give answers. Or even if I find myself in that situation, sometimes you really have to look at it and say, is this worth it? Do I keep this relationship going? Did it need to end a month ago? Did it need to end 3 years ago? What does that look like? And really answer these questions for you so you know what your next steps are. Okay, I really want to talk about this more. I mentioned it before. Your frustrators can definitely become fans. As your business grows, you can take on more people. You can have 2 extra people to do some of the work for you. You can have crazy good production that can fulfill a Walmart order. You can do those things, but growth doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't go straight up. You have to grow your whole entire business to handle everything. You have to grow your marketing, you have to grow your systems, you have to grow everything to be able to handle this amount of people. I mean, this amount of like a huge order, whatever that looks like. So you want to be totally aware that you're not saying these people suck and you don't want them in your business. It's just okay if they're not right for your business right now. It's totally fine. And you can tell people, oh, we can't fulfill in this right now, but we'll let you know. And then you can come back and say, hey, I know you wanted to hire us for this thing. We can do it now. I just want you to know we added that service. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is I want you guys to make a plan to handle the frustrators. There's a typo, but it's fine. To handle the frustrators on your planet. What is your plan to help work through these things? If you don't have someone right now, that's totally fine. If you do have someone right now, then let's work through what that looks like. We want to plan before they even get there so we can make good, smart decisions for our business. So take a second and write out what that plan looks like for you. Are you saying no, thank you? Are you sending them to someone different? Are you saying we'll be ready to take on this capacity later? I mean, what does that look like in your business? Write it all out. Okay, does anyone want to share their plan? My plan is I make everyone go through those questions, 24 hours, and I go through the questions. And then I either say, I'm so sorry, I can't help you right now. Or I say, this isn't something that my business will ever offer. I will let them know that I'm currently at capacity. I feel like that gives, okay, I read that and gave me like a little surge of like, I feel a little bit powerful stepping into my own and saying like, I am not letting people push me around. That's perfect, Nicole. Okay, anyone else? What are your plans when sometimes the money is nice, but sometimes it really puts your business at risk. So what are your plans when you see these people or how to vet these people, whatever that looks like? We're not feeling it. Okay, I'm going to keep us going then. Make sure you guys have a plan. We need to be prepared so we don't end up in frustrating situations. If Zach had taken the popcorn order and then realized it was too big, that's a problem. He had a plan to know how to do his orders, to know how to take things on. Okay? Next steps. Finish mapping out your frustrators and your plan to deal with them. Because we need to know before it happens what we're going to do and what that looks like. And maybe sometimes it's even, I can't do everything, but I can do this little piece. I can do part of this for you. That's totally fine. Okay. Next week, come back. We're talking about the friends in our business. These are not fans. These are different. These are the people you should not be spending all of your time on. We're going to talk about it. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that, because most people haven't. So it'll be great. So come back to that. Now, the last one, do I have another slide? I don't. All right, cool. So the last one is to sign up for the Launch Your Business workshop. It's a $10 workshop. It's super cheap. And we're going to go through all of the steps of setting up your business, not just setting up your business. Some people are like, launch. That just means I can take clients. That is not what building a business looks like. Building a business, I mean, we teach 6 pillars, and you really need to build a full, well-rounded business to really take on work, to grow, to market well, to be able to serve your clients really well. You need the whole enchilada, right? Not just a little piece of it. And that's what we're teaching. That's what we're going to go through in the workshop, is the basics of what you need to be setting up. So your branding needs to be set up correctly and well. Your marketing to make sure that you're on good, solid footing. We're going to talk about online presence. A lot of that is SEO. I have some killer